Lieutenant Smith is sprinting towards the enemy. Ahead lies a heavily fortified trench system. The objective is to destroy the long-range artillery bombing Allied supply lines. If he fails, thousands of soldiers will starve. We spent over 300 hours researching and modeling this realistic trench. Smith jumps inside. He looks around. Dead bodies already line the floor. To reach the artillery, Smith must fight through 4 defensive layers: the front line, the support trench, the reserve trench, and finally, the rear area. The closer he gets to the artillery, the more fortified and dangerous the mission becomes. Smith approaches the first corner. He hears the sound of boots moving directly towards him. Smith crouches and readies his Lee Enfield Mk3 rifle. The bayonet is positioned at torso height, targeting the vital organs. He's currently located in the first layer known as the front line. Holding around 800 soldiers per mile, its main function is to slow down and defend against enemy attacks. Poking out 90 feet into no man's land is a listening post, allowing soldiers to detect any hostile tunneling, day or night. From above, you can see sharp zigzags every 15 feet. If the trench was straight, then upon entry, an enemy soldier like Smith would be able to fire down the entire trench line, causing multiple casualties. Smith holds his rifle tight, ready to lunge forward. The soldier turns the corner. It's Sergeant Collins. They come from the same small village in England and have been fighting together since the start of the war nearly 4 years ago. They are stationed along a section of the Western Front, a line of trenches running for 475 miles through Belgium, France, all the way up to the Swiss border. On one side, you have the British Empire, France, and America. Opposing them is a massive German army, mainly alone, as their allies hold other strong points. Both sides have built trenches strategically in front of key sites, such as supply hubs, train stations, and factories, to prevent the enemy from capturing them. As trenches have become so well fortified, battles now drag into long stalemates. Right now, the Germans are bombarding the train track linking Paris to the Western Front, the lifeline keeping them fed and armed. Bullets rip through the air. A German soldier has started firing a heavy machine gun towards the second wave of Allied soldiers running through no man's land. Smith orders Collins to take them out while he ventures deeper towards the artillery. The two friends split. Machine guns are strategically positioned at either side of the trench in reinforced positions. Frontal fire is less effective, mainly hitting the leading ranks. Shooting side on, especially with overlapping fields of fire, exposes the entire line and increases the number of soldiers caught in the sweep. Smith needs to find the communications trench that links the frontline trench to the support trench behind. He peers his head around a corner and sees the first enemy. His back is turned. Smith takes aim down the iron sight. The German soldier is firing into no man's land. Barbed wire is placed to slow oncoming soldiers and funnel them into direct fire. The trench is 8 feet deep and 3 feet wide. Walls are reinforced with timber and concrete. The parapet, the front wall facing no man's land, is covered in thick sandbags. They absorb bullets and shrapnel. Below is an ammo shelf, allowing the soldier to quickly reload. Under this is a firing step for soldiers to stand on while firing. Wooden duck boards cover the floor. Beneath them, drainage channels carry away rainwater. Without this, most trenches would flood within hours. The rear wall, called the parados, is reinforced with more sandbags. Smith squeezes the trigger. The German soldier collapses to the ground. He keeps moving. The zigzag design forces Smith to move slowly. More Allied soldiers are jumping down into the frontline trench. Backup is arriving. He sees a dugout carved into the trench wall ahead. A soldier might be inside. These are where soldiers rest, eat, and shelter temporarily during bombardments or extreme weather while on the front line. They are carved several feet into the trench wall. Timber supports hold up the soil, helping the earth above absorb artillery strikes. Corrugated iron lines the roof. The air inside is damp and stale. A water bottle lies tipped over beside open tins of food. Someone was here not long ago. Smith keeps moving. He clears the bend. Gunshots ring out. Smith fires back. The German officer staggers and collapses to the ground. He was guarding the communications trench, exactly what Smith is looking for. A corridor linking the frontline trench to the support trench. He feels a sharp sting tearing through his arm. Blood seeps through his sleeve. Smith orders the nearby men to push forward and infiltrate the communications trench. He reaches into his tunic for his first field dressing. Every soldier carries one, waterproof and always kept in the same pocket, so you can find it in the dark or use it on another soldier without any delay. Inside is a bandage with a sterilized pad to be wrapped over the wound. Smith ties it hard to slow the bleeding. Once the Germans lose the front line, they will bombard it with mortars from the support trench. Smith must get there before the barrage begins. He quickly searches the German soldier. In his coat is a map of the entire trench system. And there, their target labeled in German, long-range artillery. But 3 more sections still stand in their way. They cannot let Germany win the war. Smith enters the communication trench, a narrow passage angling away from the front line. The walls close in around him. Up ahead, he can hear the soldiers fighting. This communications trench stretches 250 feet, connecting the frontline trench to the support trench, allowing soldiers, ammunition, and messages to move quickly and safely between the 2 positions. As Smith advances, the gunfire grows louder. Allied comrades are locked in combat. 4 German soldiers are stalling their advance. Smith has now reached the second layer of defense, and the mission just became far more dangerous. The support trench serves as a supplier to the front-line trench, holding around 1,100 men per mile. It's noticeably different. This is the infrastructure supporting the front line: sleeping quarters for troops, storage spaces for ammunition, and medical supplies, alongside emergency medical bays and kitchens. Smith grips his gun tightly. He still has his Mills bomb. One accurate throw would unleash a 25-foot kill zone, taking out all 4 Germans at once. A friendly soldier peers around the corner. He's instantly shot in the shoulder. All eyes turn to Smith. His comrades are far younger. The minimum age to enlist was 18. Yet roughly 250,000 boys lied about their age to fight for Britain. Death is so common here that for many, this first experience of combat will be their last. Memories flash in Smith's mind. The last time he reached the support trench earlier in the war, it was a trap. The Germans had deliberately let them take the front line, funneling soldiers through barbed wire and narrow passages into kill zones. Waiting for them were fortified heavy machine guns surrounded by concrete and timber nests. Smith pulls the pin from the grenade. He counts 2 seconds, then throws. Smoke and shrapnel tear through the air. 3 German bodies lie on the ground. 1 is missing. By 1918, the British alone were spending over $200 million per day to fund the war. If you had to handle that much money today without proper invoicing, it would be impossible. But that's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software with more than 45 apps for running your entire business, from sales, website creation, project management, you name it. Odoo's invoicing app turns one of the most tedious parts of running a business into something you finish in under a minute. First, pick your customer. Then, add the products or services you're charging for and set their quantities. Choose a billing date, a due date, and payment terms. Then, lastly, hit send. Customers will be redirected to a secure portal where they can pay instantly through Stripe, PayPal, or any major processor. You just need to connect your bank, and Odoo will automatically track your payments and show you their status and due dates. Thanks to the chatter feature, every email, note, and follow-up stays attached to that invoice in one place, so nothing gets buried in scattered threads. Try Odoo's invoicing app at 0 cost today with Odoo's free first app plan, including unlimited hosting and support. Use the link on screen, also in the pinned comment and description below. Nearby, a door hangs partially open. The soldier must have escaped inside. Smith steps forward, pulse racing. If the enemy gets away, he might sneak up behind them later. He descends downward, following a trail of blood along the floor. Ahead, the wounded German is crawling away, shattered by shrapnel. Smith fires. He is standing in a sleeping shelter 10 feet below the surface. The air is cold and stale. Smith is shocked by what he sees. The British trenches are far worse. Here, the room is dry, with metal lining the walls. Smith looks up. The Germans even have electrical lighting. Unlike Allied trenches that are built quickly, German positions are engineered to be more permanent. Hooks hold helmets, rifles, and gear. Gas masks are required to be within seconds of reach. 4 bunk beds to hold 8 soldiers line the walls, each with thin straw mattresses. On one bed, empty food cans with letters and photographs from home are scattered across the blankets. Smith heads back outside. Allied troops are running into the support trench. They may have entered the second section, but to reach the mortars and stop Germany from winning the war, they still need to take the reserve trench and rear area. Smith needs all the help he can get. He walks deeper into the support trench. To his right, a dugout larger than those in the front line. Inside, what looks like officers' quarters. A bed sat next to a wooden table is covered in maps. From here, trench commanders coordinate troop rotations and manage the front line. Field telephone wires run along the floor, allowing communication to the more important decision-makers further back. A box of flares sits nearby. Fired into the sky, they send signals to further back sections of the trench system much faster than any runner. Red signals an enemy attack and calls for support. Green marks mission success. White illuminates no man's land, exposing advancing troops at night. A small stove burns in the corner. Beside it, a small generator for electricity. Smith keeps moving past more dead bodies. He sees another room. A temporary first aid section. Its purpose is to treat minor wounds or stabilize critically injured soldiers before they are sent to a better-equipped hospital behind the lines. Bloody bandages and tourniquets lie across an operating table, alongside empty morphine bottles. Some soldiers become addicted. Morphine dulls physical pain, but just as valuable, provides the brain a brief escape from the relentless chaos. 4 years into the war, 21 million lie wounded, and 15 million are already dead. Smith keeps moving. Ahead, he sees the entrance to the next communications trench. This will lead him from the current support trench into the reserve trench. Smith hugs the wall, his gun raised, eyes scanning around every corner. An enemy might be hiding behind any one of these. Unlike the first communications trench, this one stretches on endlessly. It runs 750 feet between the support and reserve trenches. Positioned farther from the front line, it's safer and for good reason. Some of the most critical rooms and command posts are located here. But the trench is narrow. Only a few soldiers can pass through at a time. The rest are forced to take the far more dangerous route, going over the top. After pushing forward more, Smith reaches the reserve line. Unlike the first 2 sections, living conditions here are safer and more comfortable, designed to keep troops rested and fed so they are ready for battle. These soldiers are on reserve. They are not expected to fight immediately, but will be sent forward if the front line and support line trenches begin to fall. Smith takes cover. He won't be able to take this section alone. He must wait for reinforcements. Ahead, he can hear German voices very close by. Smith's been told this section holds around 1,600 soldiers per mile. There's no way to know how many are here. This part of the trench is wider, 6 feet across. Metal doors line the walls. Behind are the most secure rooms dug deep into the ground. 20 feet below the surface are the soldiers' barracks, protected with 3-foot-thick concrete. The main difference from the support trench is that up to 40 soldiers live in each room. The furniture is nicer, and it's better designed for long-term living. Smith hears the German boots against the concrete getting closer. He crouches down, his heart pounding. If he reveals his position now, without backup, it could be fatal. 30 feet beneath him, separated from the living quarters, lies the Germans' main ammunition chamber. It is reinforced to withstand shelling. Without this protection, a direct artillery strike could ignite the stockpile and destroy the entire trench from within. Inside, the ammunition is kept dry, away from moisture, which risks cartridges misfiring during battle. Ammunition is stored on pallets and shelves above the ground. Narrow ventilation pipes draw damp air out of the chamber. At the lowest point sits the central command post, the nerve center for the entire trench. If destroyed, coordination would collapse. No orders, no artillery support, no control. It is the most heavily fortified position in the trench. Inside, large maps cover the wall, marked with attack plans and territory lines. Charts are used to track ammunition usage. The information is constantly updated. Nearby, telephones and a switchboard line the walls. Several men stand ready, receiving reports across the trench network. Messages range from enemy sightings to urgent artillery requests. In the corner, a seat is reserved for runners. These soldiers are tasked with delivering urgent handwritten messages to the front line when the wires fail. Behind Smith, he hears movement. Relief. Allied soldiers have caught up. Smith fires at the German soldiers. The push towards the rear area has begun. The Germans suddenly stop returning fire. They've abandoned their position. Smith moves in with Allied soldiers. They need to identify the next communications trench connecting the reserve trench to the rear area. Suddenly, automatic gunfire erupts. The 4 Allied soldiers collapse lifeless on the concrete. Smith sprints for cover. It's a group of German shock troopers. He can't make out how many. Ahead, he hears more German voices, the same soldiers that he was firing at moments ago. He is trapped. Enemy soldiers surround him on both sides. Smith pulls out the cigarette tin from his jacket. Clipped inside is the only photograph he carries of his wife. The shiny surface reflects like a mirror. Bullets rip into it, knocking it from his hand. But he saw enough. 4 men creeping towards him. Smith closes his eyes and steadies his breathing. Against even one shock trooper, his odds are slim. The footsteps are getting closer. It's just him and them. He tightens his finger around the trigger and dives out. Gunshots spray from all directions. The troopers fall. Sergeant Collins runs towards him from behind cover. He brings bad news. The German reinforcements are less than 50 minutes away. They must push through the rear area and disable the artillery before they arrive. One final push. Smith checks the map. In front of him, roughly 40 feet ahead, lies the next communications corridor. Smith and Collins sprint forward. Each soldier carries roughly 150 rounds in specialized pouches above their waist. Above them, a distant engine roars. The unmistakable sound of a British Mark V engine. For the first 2 years of the war, the Allies made little progress. The invention of tanks changed that. Designed to effectively cross no man's land and shield advancing troops. Early models were flawed. They improved rapidly. Smith and Collins keep moving. Above them is a light trench mortar. The Germans use these to combat the Allied tanks, along with massive rifles that can penetrate the armor. But the Allied advance has been too fast. Most anti-tank positions have already been captured. Without them, the Germans have little choice but to retreat. As Smith moves through each corner, there's nothing but dead bodies. They reach the final communications trench. It stretches over 1,000 feet to the rear area. Without this section, the entire trench system would descend to chaos. They move through. Ahead are more bodies. Smith looks at the debris. Allied mortars must have taken them out. But one figure stands out, sitting up against the wall. It's an officer, but he's no longer moving. The ground behind him is stained with blood, but fresh. Under the rules of war, surrendered or incapacitated enemy soldiers must receive medical treatment. Smith and Collins begin checking the bodies. The 2 closest are dead, killed by mortar fire. Collins moves towards the final officer. A gunshot rings out. Smith looks over at Collins, who drops to the ground. Smith shoots the officer. A hidden Luger P-08 falls from his hand. He rushes over to Collins, a shot to the abdomen. He is bleeding out. Smith applies bandages. They both know Collins won't make it. They cannot let the Germans win the war. Smith looks towards the rear. With every passing minute, the German reinforcements move closer. He looks back. The light in Collins' eyes have faded. Smith looks at his friend one last time, then pushes forward. He knows what must be done. Smith enters the rear area. This is not a strong line of defense. Instead, it's the safest section serving as the operational backbone keeping the trenches in front functioning. It's here that supplies are delivered by trains or trucks: fuel, spare parts, food, water, ammunition, long-range mortars, and more. Smith checks the map. 3 miles away, hidden in a wooded area, lies the final objective. Due to artillery being so crucial for each side, they are carefully hidden behind the trench in strategic locations to stop them from being spotted by the enemy reconnaissance. Smith looks around. Soldiers from his old trench are spilling through. They start running towards the long-range artillery. They must reach it before the German reinforcements arrive. Miles behind the trench, in an abandoned village, sits Trench HQ. The highest-ranking German soldiers operate from there, maintaining close contact with Berlin. Nearby stands the main hospital with hundreds of beds, and soldiers resting between rotations. It's these fully rested German soldiers who are coming. Dozens of Allied soldiers run towards the artillery. Victory feels within reach. Smith and the others see the wood. And there, hidden by camouflage netting, stand multiple 45-ton, long-range artillery guns. Smith points his gun at the Germans. They surrender, hands in air. For months, these guns have strangled the rail line from Paris to the front. No fresh soldiers, no food, no ammunition, just hunger and pain. This wasn't just a gun. It was a chokehold. And now, it's gone.